You may have heard the term before, the great American novel, and what that means. But have we ever considered if there was a great American novel equivalent in comics? I have one to offer. Stay tuned. So I'm Taylor of Taylor Talks Comics. Thank you for joining me. Please subscribe down below. I am on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I need your guys' help for that. But today, like I said, the great American novel is an often talked about thing in literature. It's sometimes a goal that writers are trying to obtain. Even Stan Lee of comic book fame always said that his goal was to write the great American novel, maybe even as a replacement for some of the shame he felt as a comic book writer based on the status of the socialites and his friends of his community and how they viewed comic book writers. So it was like this prestigious thing, this prestigious title that was placed upon certain books of literature. But I was thinking the other day, I don't know that anyone's ever tried to place that same term onto a comic book. And if they were, what comic book would they choose? So before we get into my choice, and one that I want to nominate for that kind of designation, I want to talk about the definition of that and what it entails. So according to Wikipedia, the great source on all things truth, that was kind of a joke, but it says, the great American novel is a term that generally embodies and examines the essence and character of the United States. This was a term coined by John William DeForest in 1868. And the background of the term, the analysis. Multiple commentators have noted the concepts in relation to racial and national identity, be it influence from a large-scale immigration, which brought forth authors closely aligned with the great American novel or novels detailing marginalized people. So that's kind of what Wikipedia's definition. Some examples that they have for in literature of the great American novel, just to give you an example of some of these books. That way, when I offer my example, you can, judge whether I'm right or wrong. The Last of the Mohicans, The Scarlet Letter, Moby Dick, Uncle Tom's Cabin, Little Women, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. So when I think about the great American novel, I'm thinking about these classics written by like the Mark Twains and F. Scott Fitzgerald of The Great Gatsby, William Faulkner, J.D. Salinger, the Catcher in the Rye. I think that's the one that Catcher in the Rye is the one that always pops up in my head as my first inclination when someone says the great American novel. So what is my book that I want to nominate for this designation? It just came out recently in the last few years, even though comics have been around we're getting close to 100 years, I guess. But is Superman Smashes the Klan. So does this fit in the definition of, does it talk about American culture, immigration, marginalized society? It has all those things. Not only does it have all those things, but it has one of the inventions of the American community, which is the superhero, and the comic book superhero. Now, Superman Smashes the Klan was an adaptation of an old radio show. Back in the 1946, I guess it aired June 10th, 1946 to July 1st, 1946. It was a daily airing, I think Monday through Friday possibly. And it was a radio show back before TV was, taking over the world as far as people's entertainment in their living rooms. And so it is based off of something else. So does that eliminate it from being a possible nomination for the great American novel because it's not wholly an original story? Possibly. You let me know that. But the Clan of the Fiery Cross is the radio show that Superman Smashes the Klan was based off of. And it is all on YouTube if you want to listen to it, which I implore you to, especially if you want to be subjected to the classic commercials of yesteryear where they talk about the, I forget what it was, bran flakes or something. It was always on the radio host's topic of the commercials and whatnot. All the commercials are still intact, which is funny. And there are differences between the Clan of the Fiery Cross and Superman Smashes the Klan, but not entirely. I was kind of surprised how faithful to the original story that Jean Luen Yang and Gurihiru were with the comic book, but Superman. So this is my offering, my nomination for the Great American Novel of Comics, and I want to flip the camera around and examine the book a little bit closer in detail. But while I'm doing that, make sure you comment down below with what you would nominate as the Great American Novel of Comics. I think it's an interesting topic. And yeah, so let's flip the camera around. So this is Superman Smashes the Klan by Jin Luen Yang and Gurihiru. Gurihiru is a, let me get this right. It's a team of Chifuyu Sasaki, who does the pencils and inks, and Naoko Kawana, who does the coloring. They're freelance illustrators out of Saitama, Japan. So they're a duo. They've done some Marvel work before. Like, I think they did Power Pack, a recent run on Power Pack, and I forget some other things. But Jin Luen Yang is he's a burgeoning star in the comic book world of writing. Most famously did American Born Chinese, and that's probably his most famous creator-owned comic. But this is Superman Smashes the Klan. And it's done in this nice little handy digest size, which I think fits kind of that Great American Novel, this paperback that you can put into airports and whatnot. DC's actually recently done the compact line, which I feel like this would be perfect to be reprinted in that format, to be thrown into like airports and bookstores and everything like that. But yeah, so opening right up, we have a great book design too. I really appreciate that. And you just get right into it. So the story here, as you can see right away, you have Superman punching a robotic Nazi, right? Is about the KKK, which is the Clan of the Fiery Cross, the Klan in question when you see Superman smashes the Klan. But within the story, you have Jimmy Olsen. It's kind of like the manager of this baseball team. And on the baseball team, there is a kind of a competition between pitchers. So you have this new kid here. I should probably get I was terrible with character names. Unity House is the name of the Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee is a new pitcher, and he's about to take the job of the previous pitcher, which is Chuck Riggs. Yes, Chuck Riggs is the previous pitcher. Tommy Lee is going to take his job on the pitching mound. So it starts off with Tommy Lee and Chuck Riggs. Chuck Riggs is trying to show off how bad of a pitcher he is by hitting the ball Tommy Lee pitches, and Tommy beans him. But only because Chuck Riggs is hovering over the plate. It seems like he almost causes it to start a ruffle within the team of Tommy Lee being this bad character. But we later find that it's much more serious than this, because Chuck Riggs goes home and he talks to his uncle about it. His uncle is a member of the Fiery Cross. And since Tommy Lee and his sister are a member of Chinese immigrants that have just moved, not just moved to America, but just moved into this neighborhood, the Klan, can't stand for that. You can even see right here, one race, one color, one religion. So the subject matter of this book is very, very serious and very historical. This is not all ages, I wouldn't say. If you're reading this with a younger kid, I would definitely say that you need to be reading it with them and providing the context of history with all of them. Because there is some very serious imagery in here, as you can see. The Klan burns this cross on Tommy Lee and his family's front yard to kind of send a warning to them to get out of the neighborhood, because one race, one color, one religion. They're not welcome because they're not white Americans, or whatever silly reason the Klan comes up with, right? And then they even get Chuck Riggs involved, and Chuck Riggs throws this Molotov cocktail, I don't even know if they call it that on this book, but into the house, and it bounces off and it kicks it back, and it actually doesn't get into their house. So they were obviously trying to hurt this family even more, but Chuck Riggs doesn't, and he misses it. So this obviously causes a very serious ruffle. You have Clark Kent here talking to the family. Obviously, he's trying to investigate, not only as the journalist of the Daily Planet, but also for to see if Superman needs to get involved. You get some good imagery of people reading comics, which is always great within the story. And Clark Kent, you get flashbacks of Clark Kent as a kid and how he felt kind of marginalized at times because he grew up a freak. A little extra layer to the story, you have Chuck Riggs as a big Superman fan. So Chuck Riggs, who is, the nephew of this Klansman, and obviously trying to recruit him into the Klan, is a huge fan of Superman. You can imagine, knowing Superman, the great American hero, how that's going to affect things and how he's going to be interpreting what the Klan does and then what Superman does, and trying to figure out who's the real hero here, right? So all of this is playing a part into this role. You do get Superman in here with Superman action, but I think the heart of the story, and why I think this fits perfectly with the Great American Novel designation, is that it's a story of the great melting pot that is America, and how you have all these people from different communities and different backgrounds melding together with their own histories and their own cultures into the culture of America. The American culture isn't of white, Anglo-Saxon Americans that are people. That it is a melting pot of all these different cultures that makes up the great country of America. And that's what the heart of this whole story is, because it even bleeds into the police chief. I forget his position exactly, but obviously he is a African American, which I think that is different from the radio show. I don't think that layer of the story was part of the Clan of the Fiery Cross radio show. But obviously the KKK is historically anti-African American. That was like the number one target of the community, but also they didn't get along, they didn't want anybody that wasn't white. So you do get some layers here, because the chief of police, being black, will come to the defense of the Tommy Lee and his family, and Tommy Lee's parents are apprehensive of that. And it's kind of like it's told in such a better way than what I'm going to describe it here, because I don't know. I'm just a white suburban guy from Midwest America, and I can't faithfully, or I can't speak from this from a point of knowing what this is like, but having a Chinese family look at the black family in kind of a way of, we're not sure we can trust you kind of thing. And it's because they both have been marginalized that they don't know if they can trust other people of other communities. And that's one of the layers of the story that I felt was really touched upon in a beautiful way in the story, because it's not depicting any sort of person of any sort of background, of any sort of culture within the story as being the perfect end all be all answer of purity, of a perfect morality. And that's real life. Even though you're people of a marginalized community, doesn't mean that they're of perfect moral standard either. Nobody is, whether you're white, black, or an Asian American, or what have you, or an alien from Krypton. But it's trying to find the moral ground of doing good by your neighbor, and just all getting along for the sake of safety and having everyone be given a true chance at life. And I think that's the message here. And Gene Luen Yang, what I think is one of the perfect writers for this, because not only has he written about this topic himself, but building upon his own experiences growing up in America as an Asian American. I think he was able to build on those experiences well for this story. And at the end of the day, if you love Superman, I think they show the Superman character in the best light. And the way I view Superman, people will say that Superman's a boring superhero because he is perfect and he can't be defeated, and why do you want to see those stories kind of thing. I couldn't disagree enough to that kind of mentality. I think that what makes Superman different and stand out among all those superheroes is that he is the pure morality of a superhero, and the fact that he is from another planet, coming into America to show that truth, justice, and the American way is what Superman is all about. But he's an immigrant himself. He's from another planet, and he understands what it's like to have your entire planet explode and be thrown literally off the planet to go somewhere else and that kind of thing. So he is kind of the embodiment of what these people are going through and what the image of a perfect morality could be. He's like that hope that we can all get along, and that we can all get over ourselves and, you know, overcome our different backgrounds and that kind of thing to achieve what is the true American dream. And throughout the story, there are twists and turns of who is behind certain things, or who is actually a member of the Klan, or who isn't. And you do get the background of Superman and him looking back on his own history with the Kent family, and then also with his family from Krypton and his mother and father back then. So it's just such a great story. It's almost, I don't even want to say that it's like it's a great American story with Superman included, because Superman plays such a big role in the story that it is important for him to be in the story. And I think that Superman being in the story is just one more notch on the bell as to why this could be the great American novel, because he is an American creation. And the comic book is American creation. And the comic book superhero is an American creation. So I feel like that adds to that notion of the great American novel. And then you get some background in the back of Gene Luen Yang writing about his history, listening to the radio show and how it was adapted, and the background around the whole story, which is great as well, which I think is important context to add to the story. But yeah, that's my nomination for the great American novel for comics. I want to hear your guys' nominations. This is a super interesting topic that I've been thinking about a lot for the last few weeks, and I feel like it needs to be revisited. Maybe there's some suggestions I'll see in the comments that I'll revisit this topic as well. I think that's always been one of those great accomplishments, is like the great American novel that people are always trying to obtain, just like the American dream. It's like nobody says like, this is the American dream, I've got it kind of thing. It's always like, I'm trying to strive for the American dream. Just like nobody says, I wrote the great American novel. It's always, I'm trying to write the great American novel. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of this year. That's my goal. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Keep reading comics.